Well, hello and welcome back to Toy Thursday with Johnny Tiger on June 30th, 2022. Tomorrow will be Canada Day, so I am not quite sure what's going on. The last 2 years we have not had any Canada Day celebration, so this is going to be exciting because finally we get to have our Canada Day celebration, the concerts, the music, the marching bands, and all that stuff again. So I am not sure if I will get around to Fitness Friday tomorrow. I will do my best. Heck, for all I know, maybe I'll end up just staying at home all day long. Who knows? I mean, honestly, at this point, I'm still a little bit uh, gun shy about going out in a large crowd of people sitting around in concert. One of my uh, really, really good friends recently got COVID because his girlfriend went to a concert and brought COVID home. So, yeah, boys and girls, please still be careful. Even though the restrictions are lifted, but you still want to use some common sense. COVID is not gone. COVID is here to stay. So we got to learn how to protect ourselves. That's all I'm saying. Um, so to celebrate Canada Day, we are going to look at uh, Canadian superhero team. So we have six action triggers, six characters to look at today. So I'm going to try to blow through them a little bit faster than usual. That means I'm not going to go through their entire character history and all that stuff because that will be here for all night long. A couple of these characters actually have been seen before. I know one time in the Special Olympic episode, we showed one of these guys, and one episode called Doctors in the House, we showed another one of these guys. So there's going to be a couple of guys that's going to be a repeat. But hey, that's cool because now we actually have the whole team, or at least as complete a team as we have with Alpha Flight. That's the name of the team together. Unfortunately, I do not have all the Alpha Flight members in my collection. Alpha Flight really has not had as much attention paid to them in the action figure world, and it was quite amazing that we even got this six pack. Yes, all six characters we're going to be looking at today came in the sixth pack. I believe this was in 2018, and this was an Amazon exclusive. Um, so that was really cool because prior to that, prior to Amazon came out with this exclusive with Hasbro, honestly, I wasn't really interested in getting any character from Alpha Flight. Not that I don't support Canadian or anything. I'm totally for Canadian superheroes, but I didn't really know anything about Alpha Flight. I didn't know where to even begin to collect Alpha Flight characters. And, my shelf already dominated by the Avengers, by the Justice League of America, and uh, by X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and the Defenders, and all those other teams. Like the thought of adding another superhero team that I have next to no knowledge of, and I wouldn't even know which character to look out for, was just too stressful. I wasn't interested. And then, like I said, I saw this six pack on Amazon, which actually would end up giving me almost the entire original team, the core team. Now we're still missing quite a few guys, but yeah, it's better than nothing. I like it. I like it when I can grab almost the entire team at one go like this. It's a lot less stressful and feel like, hey, I can complete the whole team like that. And even better, I got this at a great discount. Like I remember the original six pack if you want to get it, it was like $150 Canadian, $160 Canadian. I got this set for less than $120 Canadian. That was like almost a 40% discount or something like that. It was really, really good. Um, so before we start down the roster, let me quickly give you guys a little bit of a background on Alpha Flight because I imagine, unless you were a really, really big comic book fan for Marvel comic books, you would be like me. You might have heard of Alpha Flight uh, before, being mentioned by especially Wolverine and maybe the Incredible Hulk, but you most likely have no idea what the heck is Alpha Flight all about. So our story will start all the way back in 1979. That's when Alpha Flight was first published. Yeah, imagine this superhero team has been around longer than I have been around in this world. I was born in 1981. This team was published in 1979, and yet so many people have never heard of them. It's crazy. This was originally headed by a guy named James Hudson. Yeah, you can't get any more Canadian than that name, James Hudson, who happened to be cousin to Wolverine, although neither of them knew about that. So James Hudson worked for the this Canadian company that were developing some kind of high-tech, futuristic uh, exoskeleton suit, this armor that would help them explore and do construction and like allow them to keep people safe. However, James quickly found that the outer owner of the company secretly wanted to market this armor for combat purposes. So he stole the blueprint, destroyed the other copy, and with his beautiful young secretary, Heather, the two of them ran away. They ended up getting married, but yeah, anyway. So Heather and James ran away and went and gave the blueprint to the Canadian military and basically signed on with the Canadian government. Yeah, they were very patriotic. And the Canadian government was so impressed with this new battle armor that they were uh, developing, they allowed them to start their own superhero team, something that hopefully could rival the American Avengers or Fantastic Four. Initially calling himself Captain Alpha, um, James tried to change his name to Guardian, but at the time there was another comic book called Guardians of the Galaxy, so the name Guardian was rejected, and he ended up calling himself the Vindicator, naming after kind an airplane. Yeah, there's a airplane called the Vindicator, and the original team was called the Flight. And since he was Captain Alpha, so later they became Alpha Flight. So that's where the name came from. What's really interesting too, a little Easter egg, little bonus from Alpha Flight history was in 1982, Alpha Flight was disbanded because the government ordered them disbanded. The government decided that it had no use for the team anymore, and the Prime Minister of Canada at the time, Pierre Trudeau, who happened to be the the father of our current Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. Yeah, I know. They actually put the real Prime Minister's name in the comic book. That's actually kind of interesting. So Pierre Trudeau, in the comic book, not in real life, ordered Alpha Flight to be disbanded. A year later, due to some international crises and the military operations too complicated to go into, but there was something really bad that was happening to Canada, and the Canadian government said we need to bring Alpha Flight back. So James and Heather uh, secretly through like in the past year, they secretly have been keeping tabs on the team members, and they knew this was going to happen. They knew that the government would call on them again. So as soon as the word came through, okay, please assemble the Alpha Flight. James and Heather put out the word, and the Alpha Flight came back to life, and all the core members came back, and they went on a lot of adventures, and so on and so on, and the rest is just a lot of superhero stuff that I'm sure you guys can imagine. Rescue this, go fight this alien, go rescue this country, go defeat that demon. Oh no, the world is going to end, and Canada is going to go first. We got to save Canada because yeah, they're Canadian. Most of their story revolve around Canada being in trouble. So yeah, that is basically Alpha Flight in a nutshell. They have tangled with a lot of bad guys. They have also tangled with some of good guys. They fought the Incredible Hulk because the Incredible Hulk went on a rampage in Canada, and Alpha Flight, being the Canadian resident superhero team, were dispatched to deal with him. They fought Wolverine. Well, when Wolverine went rogue and escaped into the wilderness of Canada, they of course fought the supervillain not Sasquatch, Wendigo, and uh, I believe they had run-ins with the Abomination and so on and so on. So yeah, this is a superhero team that's been around for quite a while, have done a lot, but unfortunately has not been very not not have achieved a great deal of notoriety with most casual readers of comic books. So, with all that said, let's start down our roster of the day. From Alberta, Canada, we have the Vindicator, the leader of Alpha Flight. And yes, I know some of you are going, oh, wait. I thought you said the leader of Alpha Flight was James Hudson. That sounds like a guy. This definitely doesn't look like a guy. This is the very model-esque uh, tall, slender female with red hair. And yeah, this definitely doesn't look like James. And you would be right. This is not James. This is his widow, Heather Hudson. You see, shortly after Alpha Flight reappeared after 1982, during one of their operations, for some weird reason, James Hudson's power armor overloaded and blew him to pieces and killed him. At least we were led to believe that it killed him. I mean, he kind of came back later, and there's a lot of that in comic books. But anyway, um, so while he was gone, his widow Heather, remember the young, pretty secretary he ran away with, did something that, yeah, okay, probably not the most logical thing to do. She put on the power armor that blew her husband to pieces, and without any training whatsoever, took over the role of leadership. I don't know if that is courage or stupidity, but anyway, uh, luckily, the armor did not blow her up, so she ended up being the leader of the Alpha Flight for quite a while. These action figures are made by Hasbro, the company that made so many great toys, making so many great toys right now, including G.I. Joe, Power Rangers, Star Wars, and Marvel superheroes. So these are all very articulated action figure, but because we have a lot to go through today, I'm not going to go through the entire articulation scheme and posing and all that stuff. Suffice to say, uh, this six pack, uh, the female are all constructed basically on the uh, very basic female body that Hasbro used for their superheroines. Just a mix and match, some skinny parts there, some bigger chest there, but it's basically that same basic construction. for the female body, the joints are kind of flimsy and gummy, unfortunately. And when the weather get hot, they tend to droop a little bit. And Heather or Vindicator here is no exception. She's kind of skinny to begin with, and her joints are just a little flimsy. It kind of makes me a bit nervous when I'm posing her. Little bit of a blooper moment there. I didn't realize she's fallen over. That is the problem when you are doing videos. When you're totally blind, it can happen a couple of feet away from you and you wouldn't know it. So anyway, she's back up now. Um, as you can see, a very slender, tall, slender, good-looking supermodel kind of physique. Nothing really special to see here. She has her trademark red hair in a ponytail. Now, I don't know if she's always drawn this way in the comic book, but as a blind person, Vindicator is not very exciting. I mean, don't get me wrong. She's got that supermodel physique, so I'm sure she's obviously very exciting. But that's not the kind of excitement I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you are handling her, you expect her to feel different because she's supposed to wear some kind of power armor. That's where her power come from. So she's not supposed to just feel like another generic female body. Uh, so that is slightly disappointing. Her color scheme is mostly red with red goggles, red hair, etc., etc., and the edges of her uniform is a kind of red maple leaf pattern painted on, but I was told that they're not painted very well. For me personally, the most interesting part about this character is her goggles. Because the Vindicator, Heather Hudson, is extremely nearsighted. She can barely see what she's doing in battle. This is kind of funny because we have seen blind superheroes like Daredevil, but Daredevil has some kind of super abilities that kind of negate his blindness. The Vindicator, on the other hand, she's good to honest God blind as a bat. Like she's visually impaired, so much so she can't see what she's doing in battle. So she has to wear these special goggles to allow her to be able to go into battles with her team and lead them to victory. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. We actually have a honest uh, super heroine that has an honest disability that she has to compensate for. Yeah, kudos to Alpha Flight to be very accepting of people with disability. And Vindicator is not the only person on the team that has some issues that she has to deal with either. Next up, from Saskatchewan, Canada, we have the powerhouse of the team, uh, Puck, aka Eugene Judd. Now, this guy we have seen during the Special Olympic. I mentioned him in quite a bit of detail. So, who is this guy? If you want all the details and you want to see that episode, I'm not going to go into all that background information. Suffice to say, Puck is the fighter, the little guy, the Wolverine of the team. He is 3 feet 6 inches tall, but he weighs over 200 pounds, and all of that is muscle. Puck is extremely long living, and when he was actually born in the early 1900s, like 1912, I believe, somewhere around that. And when he grew up, he killed his first grizzly bear when he was 8 years old. This was a crazy, crazy, powerful guy. When he grew up, he became a massive warrior. He was a huge guy, extremely smart, extremely good at athletic and fighting, and he went on a lot of adventures. He joined the military. He learned how to fight, and he became a mercenary. And then, during one of his adventures, he came into contact with a demon from the underworld. And this demon played the trick on him, sort of. This demon made Eugene Judd, aka Puck, almost immortal, made him live a long time, and made him superhumanly strong, but also shrunk him down to a dwarf. So he went from a guy who was 6'6" down to a guy who was 3'6". But he also gained the ability that his muscles are as dense as the rubber, so he is almost bulletproof, and he's super strong, super durable, can jump super high, run super fast, and is one of the best fighters in the Marvel superhero universe. And this is actually quite something to think about. I mean, when we think about Marvel, there's a lot of really good fighters. Wolverine, Captain America, Daredevil, uh, Deadpool, and so on and so on and so on. For this little guy to be called one of the best fighters in that universe, that is quite a feat, to be sure. He is so badass that during his comic book run, there was a time when he got killed. But after he got killed, he went to hell, and because he's so badass, he actually became the ruler for one of the dimensions, one of the levels of hell. He became a lord in hell because of how scary he was. So Puck is definitely no one to mess with, even though he's just a cute little guy. Now, the interesting thing about this action figure Puck is that previously he was released as a build-a-figure bonus. As I mentioned before, a lot of action figures nowadays they come with like an arm here, a leg there, and if you collect the entire wave, if you buy all six figure, even though, and it's often the case, out of six figures in the series, there's going to be a couple of them you really say, I don't want that. I really don't want another Iron Man. I really don't want another Batman. I really don't want another Wolverine. But just as a little incentive, if you buy all six of them, you can assemble uh, action figure number seven. Or sometimes you buy eight of them and you can make action figure number nine. So that's like a little bonus. Hasbro call it build a figure. Some other companies like Mattel call it collect and connect uh, because supposedly names are copyrighted or something. Whatever. I will just say build a figure. So part here was the build a figure bonus in the previous Marvel Legend series. So I feel that his inclusion with the Alpha Flight six pack is great for those of us who didn't bother buying into that uh, particular wave before. But I feel that it's a bit of a slap in the face for people who actually bought all the figures in that wave just to complete this little guy. And I mean, yeah, he's a cool character, but he's so small that I would feel totally ripped off to have a build-a-figure bonus such as him. Like build-a-figure bonus should be big, bulk, bulky, brutal, chunky characters that usually would be too expensive to sell on their own, right? So yeah, I don't know what they were thinking having Puck as a build-a-figure. Heck, he's so small you can just throw him in beside a female character and call it a day. Next up, from Quebec, Canada, we have brother and sister team Aurora and Northstar. Now, the reason I have both of them up at the same time is because, well, their superpowers are basically carbon copies of each other. They are basically the same, just one's a boy and one's a girl. And even their designs are very similar. I mean, obviously, North Star being the guy, he's muscular and tall and lean, and Aurora being the female, she's tall and lean and got boobies and all that stuff. But both of them have like they got blue eyes, and both of them got silver streaks in their hair, and both of them got pointy elven style ears. So yeah, I mean to talk about one, you kind of have to talk about the other one. And even their superpower, kind of, there's one superpower that requires both of them to activate. When they grasp their hand, when they hold hand, they can project a very intense light that's about the equivalent of a 1 million foot candle that can blind and damage opponents and also act as a beacon to let their teammates know where they are at. Uh, Other than that, both of them have super speed. They can fly. Both of them can create energy blast to hit people with. I believe Aurora, the girl, she has the power to shoot lightning, and Northstar, the brother, has the power to project some kind of light projection on his own. But yeah, basically their power is exactly the same. However, their story is a little bit different because they were actually separated at a very young age, so they didn't know each other until they happened to both join Alpha Flight. At a young age, their father and mother died in the car accident, so Aurora was taken and brought up in a Catholic school uh, under some very strict, abusive nun, and she developed multiple personality disorder, and she's also schizophrenic. So this is very interesting because we actually, for the very rarely see a superhero, a superheroine that has multiple personality disorder or is schizo. And usually, in comic book, if a character is schizo or has that kind of multiple personality, it's like evil and weird and demented. But not her, not her. Aurora, her one of her personality is very shy and timid, but then she sometimes go into her superhero Aurora personality, which is outgoing and brave and adventurous. Her real name is Jean Marie Bouvier, and her brother, Northstar, is called Jean Paul Bouvier. And like I said, they're both French. They're from Quebec, Canada. Now, Jean Paul was brought up differently. Rather than being put in a Catholic school after their parents died, Jean Paul was given to a foster parent. And then later, his foster parent also died. But Jean Paul actually grew up and became a professional athlete, using his super speed to help himself in skiing competition and other athletic events. He also became a businessman and was publishing novels. Um, he's also in the closet homosexual. He's gay. So that is one thing that kind of came up again and again in the story, where him and his sister sometimes they clash with each other uh, because they were actually interested in the same guy. So that's kind of an interesting team and family dynamic right there. I mean, as far as character design, the action figure goes, these two didn't interest me whatsoever because they were built on the generic body that we have seen like a million times already in Marvel superheroes and Marvel Legends. Like these are very generic male muscular, lean body, and female, a supermodel, thin, skinny body. Like there's just nothing special going on here. The only new parts are the head, and their character design basically just like, okay, North Star is the guy. He is tall, lean, good looking, and Aurora is the girl, and she's tall, lean, good looking. That's it. Like there's nothing much going on in the look department. However, their story more than compensate for that because, like I said, Aurora is a female superhero that constantly struggles with being schizo and have multiple personality. And Northstar is hot-tempered and uh, brusque and can hardly ever get along with anybody. And yet he is a superhero, but he's also in the closet uh, homosexual guy. So yeah, there's some definite, definitely interesting material there for good character development. Next, from the Northwest Territory, Canada, we have this blonde goddess by the name of Neria, or also known as Snowbird. And when I say she's a blonde goddess, I'm not just talking about she looking good. She literally is a goddess, or at least half of a goddess. You see, her story is a lot more mystical than what we've seen so far. Neria uh, came from a union between the goddess of nature and a human male. The story goes that the Eskimo god fought and defeated this ancient evil called the Great Beast. In the end of the battle, all the gods, including the Great Beast, were banished from the human world. But the goddess of nature, fearing that the Great Beast would return to destroy Earth one day, decided to leave a part of herself on this Earth before leaving this world. So she went and seduced a human man and had a baby and left this baby on Earth. And this baby was Naria. Now, Naria is a really interesting case because on the outside, she looked like a blonde supermodel. Uh, her color scheme is white and blue, and she's got blonde hair and pale white eyes, and she got a cape that's bellowing behind her. She looked majestic, but inside she's only a couple of years old. Because she, being the daughter of a goddess, she actually grows up and matures a lot faster, like a lot faster than normal baby. So she grew to be looking like this in a couple of years, and her mind is, for the most part, as mature as an adult female. In her pastime, she disguises herself as a human woman working for the Monty uh, RCMP, for the Royal Monkey Police, and inside she's this little girl. Her power is that she can transform into any Canadian animal, from polar bears to sperm whales to owls, anything, and she can take on the abilities of those animals when she transforms into them. Even in her human form, she's strong enough to lift about 1 ton of weight. So she's definitely super, super strong. She's basically that lady on the team that is a problem solver. She's the one that does a lot of uh, the heavy lifting and fight demons, fight uh, uh, alien forces, and uh, because she can transform into so many different animals, she's bound to have something that can solve the problem. Now, her power, unfortunately, is very limited to that she is tied to the land of Canada. So the moment she leaves Canadian border, she starts losing her godly power. I will say, even though she is also built on the standard female body, I really like this action figure because her cape and her super wild long hair really give her much more substance than the previous two females that we looked at, the Vindicator and Aurora. Both just came across as your standard skinny, slender female with not much going on. Snowbird here actually does look like a goddess. Now, it would be nice if we get an animal form included for her to transform into. Nothing big, like, but it would be nice to have an owl or something so she can illustrate her superpower. But unfortunately, this is one downside of this particular six pack. Even though it is an Amazon exclusive, it didn't come with any accessory, like no alternate head, no alternate hand, no energy effect, no weapon, no armor, nothing. Like none of these characters came with any accessory. That is really quite unfortunate. And I think uh, either an energy for her or hand, or an animal for her to transform into would really elevate Snowbird into the next level. Next up, last but not least, we have the Shaman, aka Michael Tuyaman. We have seen this guy before in the Doctors in the House episode because he is a real doctor. Like a lot of superheroes call themselves doctors, but Shaman here, Michael, he's a real actual doctor. Like he's one of the best surgeons in Canada in the comic book. When I say he's a real doctor, I'm talking about his story. Like he's actually a doctor, not that the real life doctor like this guy. But anyway, um, he is Native American or Native Canadian. He's First Nation. Okay, I don't know. Like he's native, and he has a native design with the long hair, strong cheekbone. The body is pretty generic, just a regular, muscular human male body. And he has pouches around his waist and his wristband and his wrist. And in the comic book, when he slams his two wristbands together, that will transform him from his human outfit into his superhero outfit, as you see here. For the most part, he is basically the team's magic user. He's like the Alpha Flight equivalent of Doctor Strange. He's the one that can warn them that a demonic spirit in the area. He's the one that can do things like control plants, summon storms and lightning, and transport them to different dimensions. All that magical stuff. He is a very powerful wizard, and he uses his power for good. And but more so than that, Shaman, aka Michael, is the adoptive father of Snowbird. As we mentioned, that after the goddess gave birth to Naria, aka Snowbird, the goddess got banished from this world. Now, I don't know what happened to Neria's biological father, but uh, she was found and brought up by a wise native elder by the name of Michael Tuyaman. And Michael soon realized that Neria was not ordinary baby because she grew up into an adult woman within 2 years. So he spent a lot of time teaching her the way of the world, what's right, what's wrong, and treating her like his own daughter. And then both of them ended up joining Alpha Flight. And here we have the entire Alpha Flight assembled for duty with Vindicator leading the charge, Northstar and Aurora right behind her, and Puck to the left behind them. And then at the very back, we have the nature goddess Snowbird and her adopted father, Shaman. Like I said, there's some team members that I still don't have in my collection, but this actually does make a pretty good uh, collection of the Alpha Flight, and I'm glad finally get a chance to show you guys this very obscure team of Canadian superheroes right before Canadian Day or Canada Day. Sorry, Canadian Day. Yeah, yeah, I know. It's getting late. I'm getting tired, so I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. And for those of us that's in Canada, happy Canada Day. Hope you guys have a great celebration, and don't forget, be safe.